got into bodybuilding and the fitness industry since leaving college when I was about 18. So I'd done that for about 4 years, doing all the courses, relevant qualifications. Got into fitness training for soccer initially, just to get fitter and stronger for that game. And then the weight training sort of took over that side of things. And I competed for about 4 or 5 years in natural bodybuilding competitions in this country and abroad, working with the UK and another federation called Muscle Mania, which runs through America, they're a big glitzy sort of federation. After about 4 years of competing, I had a motorbike accident, and that paralysed me for about a year. Well, it paralysed me for 2 days, and I was in hospital, couldn't move a thing for basically my arms and legs, until about a week later, and then I had to rely on the nurses and my mother and the rest of it to sort of feed me, take me to the toilet, do all these things you take for granted. And you know, all along, anything you've kind of worked for in your life, them things, you realise how materialistic they are, and you'd love to just have your own functionality back. So there's a lot of time to dwell in hospital there. I was told by the surgeons I'd have to learn to write again with my opposite hand, learn to function again as my hips were put out. I broke both arms and had them all rebuilt with pins and bolts. It was quite a bad accident, and but rather than sit and dwell and be depressed on that, I kind of used that as a, well, I will show these surgeons and doctors that I can get back to what I was doing, because it had become my life. If you've studied doing that for 4 or 5 years and then been training 4 or 5 days a week for as long as you remember, it's like brushing your teeth, and to take that away, it was obviously a hard thing to do. So I got back into training, and just with the goal of competing again one day, and that's what I'd done. So about two years after that accident, I got back on stage and done another competition, which I won, which was called the Mr. Titan. So for me, out of all the achievements and competitions that I've entered and I've won, that's probably the biggest one personally to me, because I was told I wouldn't be lifting a weight again, let alone competing again. So that was a great achievement for me. So I went on and I won British titles, I won regional titles, and then I've fortunate enough to went on to compete for the UK in Italy about 2 years ago, and won the Mr. Universe title out there, which was a huge achievement. So I was really excited, happy about that. But because I thought it would be too hard for me to win, I took no friends, family, supporters across with me to Italy, because I compete 4 or 5 times in a year. So it's a lot of expense on people to get them to follow you around the country when you're just competing. And so I'd won this huge title and I had no one to share the glory with, if you like. But the following year I went on and competed for the UK again and won the British title in bodybuilding for a federation called the NAC, and then they took me to Spain and I won the World Championships, and that was last year. So the last few years I've had a very good run, very fortunate run, probably picked up about 40 winning trophies along the way over the last 6 years. And to look back from such a severe injury, you'd think that I wouldn't have been able to achieve that. But I've always been very fortunate that I've got a sort of passion to sort of push on, and I think to achieve anything in any sport, that's what you need. Well, I've been in the industry, I suppose, since I left school and college, and I've worked with all sorts of people, from disabled people to people with mental learning difficulties, right up to people that want to compete in various sports, whether it's from running to bodybuilding. Nowadays, I generally do get more strength-based people come to see me because of my kind of accolades and my achievements. But what I sort of try and pride myself on is by giving as much information to the person and the reason behind, the exercises we're doing, or the reasons behind the diet protocol that I've explaining them to do. So they've got a reason for what they're doing. It's not just do this, do that. To be honest, anyone that I see, I always advise them it's the best thing you can do, because you can waste so much time in your life thinking you're doing the right things, or thinking your techniques or your training protocols right, and really perhaps it isn't, or perhaps you're not driving yourself far enough. And so I've always seen someone, I'm actually going to see someone after this today, and I have someone that helps train me once a week. I go and see someone, and I go to someone and they train me and put me through my paces, and then I get pushed that bit more, because we're all humans and we all want to sit in that comfort zone. So you do need someone, I believe, to keep pushing you and opening your eyes to how far you can achieve. And then that allows you to keep going and live up to that same sort of training protocol when you're on your own. Well, to be honest, I'm asked that sort of what's the secret and is there a magic pill and that kind of thing all the time, because I do own a gym. And the thing I've learnt along the way is there's only one tip, and that's to be consistent. So consistency is the real key, whether that's in your training, your lifestyle, the foods that you eat, the supplements that you take. You have to be consistent and achieve them goals day to day. There's no good being a Monday to Friday bodybuilder and then going down the pub on the weekend, because it just eats up all the progress you're making. So it is a lifestyle change, and you have to be consistent with that. I can offer, over 10, 15 years of knowledge and experience in bodybuilding and in strength training, as well as the desire and the drive that I've had in myself. I will emulate that onto my clients so that they see how far they can achieve and get them to achieve goals that they thought perhaps were unachievable by themselves. So if you've got a dream or a desire to get on stage to do a bodybuilding competition or to do some sort of strength-based activity, I guarantee I can get you the best results possible.